Previously on Spenelli Speaks, Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. Hi everyone, Danny here. Welcome back to my channel. I am going to be telling you about all of the books I am going to be reading in March, and it's a lot. I'm not quite sure how this pile got so big, but somehow, somewhere, I have quite a few books here, so we're going to try to get through them as quickly as we can. Now, go ahead and comment below. What are you reading in March? What readathons are you participating in? Any buddy reads coming down the line? Go ahead and tell me below. If you're new here, I hope you take some time, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and again, comment below. I'd love to get to know you. Thanks for being here. So let's talk about what I'm going to be reading in March. Now, I will be participating in a few different things. The first being a readathon happening over at Krista's channel, Books and Jams, as well as Katie from Life Between Words and Amanda over at The Curly Reader. Those are the three hosts of Middle Grade March. Now, if you don't know what Middle Grade March is, I will put all of their channels below. Check out their announcement videos, their recommendation videos. They have so much going on. It's an awesome readathon. I really enjoy middle grade books, and I guess as I was growing older, you assume like you move on, you go from middle grade to young adult to adult books, and you never turn back. I really enjoy middle grade books, and when I came to YouTube and Booktube, I realized that there are adults out there that still read middle grade, and it was just like an moment because I really do like middle grade books. So let's talk about that first. So a lot of the books that I'm reading for middle grade March aren't necessarily part of anything else. So they're all like hopeful reads. And because they're middle grade books, they're a little bit easier to jump into, and they're really great for breaking slumps. So the first two that I'm going to talk about are actually part of my 21 books that I want to read in 2021. And the first one is actually also a buddy read that I'm going to be doing. So that first book is Artemis, Fowl. Now, a lot of people have been talking about this book, and since it came on, I believe was that Disney Plus had a show, everyone's been talking about it, and I honestly have no idea what this is about, so I'm really excited to read it. And I'm actually doing this as a buddy read with a Instagrammer, and I will put her handle down below, but it's Lauren Dale. I'm really excited to read this with someone new because I love getting to know new people out there out in the world who love to read just like me. So I'm excited to do this as a buddy read because, like I said, I've never read this and I have no idea what it's about. I've seen previews for the show, but that's all I know. So I'm excited to read this, and it's part of my 21 books for 2021, so I'm excited. The next book off of that 21 books to read in 2021 is A Little Princess. I'm excited to read this. Last year I read The Secret Garden, and that is by the same author. So I'm excited to kind of get into this one and see what this is all about. I kind of have an idea of the premise of this book, but I have not actually read it ever in the past, so I'm excited to get this under my belt as well. Then, so you know some more information about middle grade March, there is a group read. I will not be participating in that particular piece of the readathon, but for you to know, it is The Brave by James Bird, and they are going to be doing like live shows and stuff like that. So if you want to get involved with that, make sure you check out their channels, and again, I will leave those in the description below. Some of the challenges for middle grade March, there are, you read a book with a silhouette on the cover. I don't actually think that I have any books in my TBR that have a silhouette on the cover. I want to read The Girl Who Drank the Moon, but I don't know if like that counts as a silhouette because, I mean, you can still see her features and stuff, so I'm not counting that. And I guess I'm not really concerned about all of the challenges. I just want to read middle grade books, which means you're participating. So you can read as many or as few, as long as you read one middle grade book in March, you have participated in middle grade March. Now, the second prompt or challenge would be book with strong family elements. I'm assuming that somewhere in here I will probably have that, as well as a book featuring travel or adventure, which the next one I'm going to be reading is Arthur Book 1, The Seeing Stone. There's gotta be adventure in this. I picked this up at, it looks like St. Vincent de Paul for 87 cents, and I'm really excited to read this. I really like King Arthur and those kind of stories, so I'm excited to see what this one's all about. So that'll be another book that I'll be reading in March. Fairytale retelling or has fairytale elements. I don't know if any of these will. Obviously, once I dive into them and get reading, they may. But I don't quite know. I'm looking over here because I have my e-reader or my Amazon Fire, and some other books that I'm thinking about reading for audio is Howl's Moving Castle. I keep seeing that title and I don't know what it's about, so I'm going to try to read it. And then I'm also going to read One Crazy Summer by, and I can't see the author's name here, Rita Williams Garcia. I just love this cover. I'm a total cover buy kind of gal, so when I was kind of scrolling through the middle grade books on my Hoopla account, which is through my library, I saw this cover and I was just drawn to it. So I'm going to read that too and see what that's all about. So I'm going to be reading that one. So that's 3 audiobooks for middle grade March. So that, again, that was The Girl Who Drank the Moon, Howl's Moving Castle, and One Crazy Summer. Some other middle grade books that I'm going to be reading, and this is all jumbled up, and I'm really sorry. I'm trying to talk as fast as I can so we can get all these books out in less than 30 minutes. But I picked this one up at a St. Vincent again for 87 cents, and this is Emmy and the Incredible Shrinking Rat. If you recall in my intro, this is the book where I show you the rats falling, and now I'm going up. Now we can go down. It's like, I just think it's so cool. I love that. So I want to read this and see what that's all about. I just think that's so cool to have art on every page, and then I just think that is so freaking cool. So I'm going to read this. Again, I don't know what it's about, but I'm going to read it and see, and I will tell you on the other side. The last middle grade book that I'm going to read and that I've heard a lot of people really enjoyed is The One and Only Ivan. I picked this up again at a thrift store for 87 cents. I heard this is a tearjerker, which I don't like tearjerkers. Like, I don't like crying. And I don't like crying in books, so, but I've heard so many good things, so I'm gonna take a chance and I'm gonna read this. I know that there's another, like, it's a part of a series, so I would love to read this and see if I want to continue in the series. So that is the last middle grade book that I will read. Some of the other prompts, I think there's one last prompt, and that's a book published in the decade you were born. So for me, if I'm going to participate in that, it would have to be in the 80s. So there are a lot of really great middle grade books, including one of my recommendations for middle grade March, which is The BFG by Roald Dahl. I will not be rereading this. I've read this so many times, and I'll probably break Goodreads by saying, you know, the 5th time that I've reread this. So, but if you're looking for a good middle grade book for adventure, or you're looking for the decade of the 80s, pick this one up. It's really great. So anywho, out of middle grade March, some other buddy reads that I'll be doing. I think that I'm still on to buddy read Gabriel Garcia Marquez's Love in the Time of Cholera. I will be reading this with Sarah MG Reads. I'm pretty sure we're still on task to read this. I have to check with her, but if you recall, I read 100 Years of Solitude back in January with a few Booktube friends, and I thought it would be interesting to continue in another piece of work by Gabriel Garcia Marquez and see if there's any, you know, similarities. Oh gosh, why? Why are the letters so small? Oh God. Okay, so I'm going to be buddy reading this hopefully with Sarah, and we'll have a good time with that. So that's another buddy read. And then with Angie over at Science Mama, we actually, before this past month, because there was a read along with this book. We had no idea that that happened, and both of us were too busy to participate in that, but we are actually going to be reading Diane Setterfield's Once Upon a River. And I vaguely remember what this is about. I know the first time I ever saw this was last year on Claudia's channel over at Spencer's Library, and she kind of talked about it. And the way she described it was so fascinating. And I was like, wow, that sounds like a really interesting book. But I really don't read new books all that often because I can't get my hands on them unless I go to the library, which is perfectly fine. But I really just read the books that I get from thrift stores. Well, it just so happened that my mom stopped by one day and she's like, did you want to read this? I found it at a, thrift store or whatever. And I was like, you've got to be kidding. She paid $1.50 for this book. It's a brand new hardcover. It looks like it's never been touched. $1.50 for this. She got this for $1.50. Go to your local thrift stores, people. Go to your local thrift stores. Anyways, get off that tangent. So you know what? It's really coming to fruition, like this Danny's not calm comment. It's all coming together. I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it. Okay, anywho. So Once Upon a River. If you guys can see, this is a swan. It's not a river. It's a swan. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. I just think that's so awesome. So I'll be reading this with Angie over at Science Mom. I'm very excited. I love Angie's channel. If you haven't checked her out, take a look at her channel. She does book content, but she also does a lot of homeschooling content. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely check her out. She has got a great personality and just a real love for education and a passion for all things homeschooling. Okay, so as far as buddy reads, I have one more buddy read. I don't want to forget, I'm going to be reading with Tara from Buzzword Books, who just had a baby. Yeah, girl. Get it, girl. Anywho, good luck with that. We are going to buddy read after you just had a baby, and we couldn't have picked a better book to read. Now, this is going to be a reread for me, so I'm going to be listening to it on audio, but we are going to be reading Confessions of a Domestic Failure it's Bunmi Ladatan. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but that is the picture of the front. This book is hilarious, and it is great for first-time moms because I think it really gives you a great picture of just the chaos that happens when you have a child and your life just gets turned upside down. This book is so funny, and I'm so excited to be reading with Tara. I love her. We've read before in the past. I love buddy reading with her, and I'm excited to read this in a different format. The first time I read it physically, now I'm going to be doing it in an audiobook, so I'm really excited. Oh, and I cannot forget my last buddy read, of course, is my year-long buddy read with my good old friend Laura over at Book Bubbler. We are going to be reading the third book in that Pink Carnation series. I don't have it yet. I have to pick it up from my library, but I believe it is something about an emerald ring. So I'll put a picture of it here so you guys can see it, but we are into the third book of that series, so we're excited to continue on to that. So again, any person's channel that I mention, I will link in the description below. Please check these people out. If I think they're cool, you'll think they're cool. Let's move on to my book club book. Now, I run a book club in my personal life, and this month we are going to be reading Alice Walker's The Color Purple. Now, this year for my book club, we decided to pick all books that have a corresponding film or adaptation. So this happened to fall into March's selection, and we will be reading The Color Purple. Now, I have never read The Color Purple, nor have I ever seen any kind of adaptation, whether that be a musical or an actual film. I am excited though because I have heard so many good things, and I'm pretty sure that this is written in letters, and I really enjoyed the literary Potato Pie Peel Guernsey book because it was epistolary, and I believe that this is written in letters as well, like journal entries almost. So I'm excited to read this in a different format. I love the idea of reading things that I haven't read before, but have heard so many good things about. So I'm excited to get this under my belt as well. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to get all of these books read because you guys, I have 3 other books and these are not light reads. So as you know, I am participating in the Booktube Prize and I am in, I believe, nonfiction A. Well, I know it's nonfiction, but in group A, I believe it's A. And I have 3 more books that I have to read. Now, I can't tell you anything about these books as far as like my thoughts and opinions about them until the whole group is over. But I have read 3 of the books so far back in February, and now I have 3 of the other books to finish here in March. So the ones that I have to read yet is Surviving Autocracy by Masha Geeson. So I'm not sure what these are about. Can't really go into much more depth than that, but I have this one to read. And then I also have The Address book by Deirdre Mask, and this is what addresses reveal about identity, race, wealth, and power. And then I started but have not gotten too far into because it's 750 pages long, but that is Promised Land by Barack Obama. So I have that yet to read as well. So that has to be, so those last 3 have to be read in March. So those will get read for sure. And then of course I always put my buddy reading and my book club reading as a priority. So those will definitely get read. And then any extra reading will all be my beautiful middle grade March books, which as you can see, I'm most excited about because, I mean, come on, middle grade is just so fantastic and exciting and really just is nostalgic and puts you back in that frame of mind of just utter bliss when it comes to imagination and just all out fun. Well, wish me luck on finishing all these books. Tell me, have you read any of these books? Are you reading any of these books for middle grade March, or are you participating in the Booktube Prize? Do you have a book club? What book are you reading this month? I am thoroughly excited, as you can tell, and I hope that you are too. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, comment below, and until next time, guys, I hope you're all reading something great, taking care and staying safe, and you know how it goes. Happy reading. Bye.